The thing that I always liked about drag racing, you take your car, whether it's just you by yourself or a group of 10, and you put them on the racetrack. If you have a better light than your competitor and you go down the track quicker, you'll win every single time. It's not a case of, well, I had a great car, but lap traffic, had a bad pit stop, somebody took me out. There's no excuses. If you don't win, it's on you. I did an interview with Hot Rod Magazine and we were just talking about my career, where I was, where I came from and all that. And they're like, you know about Drag Week? And I'm like, no. It's 5 racetracks in 5 days and you go on this kind of cannonball run through checkpoints and such, and you have to drive your car. And they have different categories, you know, from cars running the 15, 18 second range to the wildest where they're running literally 6 seconds flat at 250 miles an hour. They're all safe to run on the street, they're all safe to run on the racetrack, and that's part of this event. They started this maybe 12 years ago with 40 cars. Well, now they've cut it off at 400. So it's an Ironman triathlon for the hot rodder. My name's Larry Dixon and I'm a 3-time NHRA Top Fuel champion. My mom and dad raced Top Fuel cars back through the 60s and 70s. So ever since I was a little kid, it was always about going to the racetrack. Grew up in Southern California. There was, 6, 8 tracks in the area, and it seemed like on every weekend. You got picked up from school on Friday afternoon and you towed to a racetrack. Growing up, I didn't know any better. I just figured that everybody else that you went to school with, their parents had a Top Fuel car and you went out there and raced because that's your environment. That's just what you know. So you'd go out there and there'd be other kids, their parents are racing, and you'd hang out and do your thing. You'd have to leave Sunday afternoon or Sunday night and then drive through the night, because my dad had an 8 to 5 job along with having a Top Fuel car. So you'd have to drive through the night to be able to get back for Monday morning. But there was other guys out there, and girls for that matter, Shirley Muldowney, Dawn Garlitz, Dawn Perdome and such. They weren't driving through the night on Sunday night. That was their living. I thought, get paid to race? Like, how cool would that be? We've got one of our gas class cars. I learned after day 1, it's called Drag Week, but it seems like it's in between each venue on Drag Week. From Columbus to Norwalk, Ohio, it's about an 80-mile drive. But the route that they give you makes it 240-mile drive. We left at noon, got there at 2:30 in the morning. How does it take 14 hours? Well, you're caravanning with guys that have cars that run at 8 miles to the gallon. So about every 50, 60 miles, you're having to fill up with gas. And then you're in traffic, and they've got these race engines, and they're not designed to be driving in traffic, so then they overheat. And the water pump goes out. Nobody got a water pump. You're having to take it apart and fix it. Every day it seems like there's an adventure, but it's a whole group of hot rodders, and you have that common bond. It's not just Chevy guys here and Ford guys there and Mopar guys there. It's like everybody's a hot rodder, and they're all loaning you parts because you've loaned them parts, and you're paying it forward because you know you're going to need help at some point in time. So it was a long week, but it was a fun week at that. The Chevy II that I have, I actually bought it in 1988. Bought it from a friend, Les Motor and Trans, for $700. Put a motor and trans in it. I'm running around a little bit on the street with it, a little bit at the racetrack, and then I ended up getting a phone call from Don Perdome, which is kind of humbling in itself. They had a guy quit on the team and they needed somebody in the pit crew. It seemed like a good idea. I could probably work there a couple years and then figure things out. Well, long story short, I worked there for 20 years. Pit crewed and then ended up driving for him for a long time. But all the while, I still kept my car. I would feel like I failed the car if I sold it, so I never did. Just hung on to it from 1988 to 2016. That's really the next time that I got to really do anything with it. I don't know what else a person that races would do on his off time other than race. I love and appreciate motorsports as a whole. You know, watch Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR, World of Outlaws, midgets. If it makes noise, I'm kind of into it. But drag racing, I think being born into it is what sums me up. I was born around cars. 50 years later, I'm still into cars. Whether it's 330 mile an hour top fuel cars or 125 mile an hour Chevy II. They both take oil, they both take fuel to run. I love when some of my circle track friends will talk about how can you do drag racing because it only lasts a few seconds. I can watch a NASCAR race and then 4 hours later I get to listen to Darrell Waltrip finally say it's a drag race to the finish. Like you had to wait 4 hours for a drag race. I get to see one every 6 to 10 seconds. The cars have drawn me to the sport. I mean, because I'm a hot rodder, that's what I like. But when you get in the car and drive, and whether I'm going 300 miles an hour or 125 miles an hour, there's a portion of it that it becomes business. You have things that you need to do. But it all has to do with that slip that you get at the end of the run. It's like your report card. I gotta wait 11 seconds, or I gotta wait 3 seconds. And then you look at that sheet. It gauges your mood till the next run. It all ends up on that time slip. Don Perdome told me that a long time ago, and I listened, but I didn't pay attention. 20 years later, I know what he's talking about. It's that time slip. I've been telling people, give me a month or two to let it settle down. The first year was overwhelming. But I can compare that to being the first year on the road on a touring nitro car where you just pull you out of your friends and family for 9 months of the year. It's not for the faint of heart. Drag week is not for the faint of heart. I need to just catch my breath. I need to fix my shocks. But when it comes back around to enter, yeah, I'll probably throw my hat in the ring. If I can pull it off, I'm sure I will. Future plans, you see all the equipment in the shop. We're gearing up for 2017, get back out on the racetrack, go out there and win some races in Top Fuel and hopefully add to the championships we already have.